Frank Akmans here, Supply Chain Dynamics Chapter 9, Quality Cascade. Sysdea Gameplay 9, Buffer Staff. The way that service supply chains in general, and certainly the service supply chain at KPN was managed, is that capacity was kept tight. You don't want staff hanging around idly just costing money. You add staff when there are problems. The opposite solution is one where you want buffer staff, like you want buffer staff in ambulance personnel or in the people handling problems in a nuclear plant or whatever. So buffer staff is quite normal, it's just not so normal in a telecom supply chain. What if the company would have had buffer staff? Would that have made a difference? Well, we can easily play with it because our target workload in provisioning here is 1, which means that we want everybody fully occupied. We can play with it and say, what would it mean if, like, we want that we have 40% buffer staff there, just in case something happens. We can easily implement there. Here is the workload for provisioning. And let's make the target load and workload in 60% and see what happens. Now, just remember, just as many sales orders coming in. The regular flow up here is just as much because the target workload, the provisioning workload happens really here. And here you see that we successfully managed to take out these two peaks. And how did we do that? Because we had the people ready to do that kind of work. And that's quite nice indeed. If you look at the personnel flow, then you see that the workload in provisioning is almost never, only shortly here at around 1, perhaps not even 1. Well, a little bit over 1. And when that workload is under 1, there is enough staff to do the work. So there is work, but there's enough staff, and when there is enough staff, and so not a high workload, it means that there are no workload triggered quality gaps, and you don't start a vicious cycle in there. The FT and field install are not changed because we don't have extra buffer staff there. And not surprisingly then, they do have a big peak around here because of the problems with the extra fallout from field install due to the volumes. The call center doesn't make a big difference. There is less call from provisioning, fewer calls from provisioning, yes, but almost just as many calls from field technicians. But anyway, the calls from rework so are a percentage of the total call attempted. So in the total call attempted, that doesn't really mean so much. So the workload and the service level problems still are very much alive in service call handling. If you look at the flow of complaints, you do see a slightly smaller peak, not so much because of the effect of workload of a call handling workload, but because of a smaller percentage of customers facing problems, that is those in provisioning. If we would combine both, let's quickly see what would happen if we would only do field install. Then the peak in provisioning is the same as was historically. So we also have quality problem. We also have far more provisioning rework here. We only see difference in field install technician. You see there, that's smaller. Yeah, some effect for sure, but not really a big effect. Well, there are some effects and complaints. It looks quite nice. Now, what about if we would combine both? We would have both a target workload in provisioning of 60, so 40% buffer staff, and in field install. What would you then get? That looks really nice. So you do see we have more people in provisioning, but not a terrible lot more. More people in field install, but you do definitely save peak capacity here. mainly because we have more people in the early stages doing the quick ramp up. As a result of that, we don't need a really big increase during the big ramp up. Quality therefore stays quite acceptable, but if the workload related effects are much lower, so less provisioning rework, less field install also. This should have some effect, you would say, on calls, definitely up here. Not from the regular orders, of course, and in the total effect, there is some effect. So there is some effect on the service level. If you look at complaints, life is wonderful. There are far fewer reasons for complaints. The only reason why we have still complaints is because when even this is not zero, we have customers, a few hundred, that want to file a complaint, but mainly because during the peak hours, the regular orders still cause a lot of stress in the call center. So those customers that do complain with a potential, do call with a potential complaint, probably all of them end up with filing a complaint. So buffer staff would have been an excellent solution. It's only more or less heretic to actually have staff hanging around for orders and problems you're not sure that they will actually show up.